Welcome, everybody, to the first edition of the Daily Wrap Up on Sense of Fidelium. I, of course, is Steve Cunningham with Sense of Fidelium, and I know this isn't exactly the typical, how would you say, news center news. It doesn't look the fancy smancy stuff. You got what you got what this is. I'm sorry if it doesn't look the part. Anyways, let's get to it. Hopefully, it won't be that long. I'm going to try to keep this condensed, 5 to 10 minutes max. If it goes 15, don't shoot me, please. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get to it because the longer edition is the news from the Pew show that we do on Thursday night, sometimes Friday. Depends on Rick's availability, such. So here we are. If you've been living under a rock for the last week, the Epstein case has been going on, or the debacle, what would you like to call it, up in D.C. But here, Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, is ready to reveal truth of the pedophile client list, says insiders. So this is according to the Daily Mail. Take that with a grain of salt because this the Daily Fail for obvious reasons, but who knows? Ghislaine, she's in jail now on the reports from last week going, hey, he didn't do it. There's nothing there. So why is she in jail? So that would make sense for her to at least come out and say, hey, if I'm going to be in Alcatraz confines, well, she isn't in Alcatraz, but in prison, I might as well might as well spill some beans. Will Besant, will, for my English speaking people, will Besant serve as Fed chair, Treasury Secretary, and Treasury Secretary at the same time. Now, this Scott Besant, I don't know why I read it like Will Besant. Anyway, Scott is a Soros guy, and because people play team party politics, this is a Soros guy that we actually like, or at least the team party politics guys actually like. He also, just like Mayor Buttigieg, lives that same kind of lifestyle and has the same kind of kids. So again, people yelled at Buttigieg for that, but they're not yelling at Besant for this. But anyways, now they're looking at or Trump is looking to tap him as Fed chair, which knowing the Fed, just like Kristi Noem came out today saying that they're going to revamp FEMA, not end it, which is a lot of people say, just in the FBI and the CIA and all these things, and none of them have happened. Speaking of Kristi Noem, here is her from earlier.
1,000-bed facility can continue to be expanded. We're looking at other locations as well. We've had several other states that are actually using Alcatraz as a model for how they can partner with us as well.
What are some of those? Are there other states?
I'm having ongoing conversations with 5 other governors about facilities that they may have. I haven't asked those governors if I can share their names, but announcements will be coming soon. As you all know, we need to double our capacity in detention beds because we need to facilitate getting people out of this country as fast as possible and to sustain our operations. But those governors have been fantastic. I will tell you, they are all Republicans. So I would challenge some Democrats to start taking care of your states, partner with us.
I mean, Ray Charles could have saw that one. I was about to say if she didn't, because that's the first time I heard the clip, I would have guessed. Yeah, they're all going to be red states. I would bet Arizona, Texas is probably involved in that. I would be, South Carolina probably. I could see who else? Alabama, maybe Mississippi. Because Alabama back in the day, they were good. They were doing good with the immigration, doing it via the state, kicking illegals out. They were doing a fantastic job. But then the federal government told them stop them. Brandon has got the regime. They ended up making them stop. So there you go on that. The problem is nationalization on all this stuff. You fix it at the state level. But we got this Alcatraz thing going on, which is you got people coming in talking about how great this is, how it's the team party politics against the cheerleaders, talking about how amazing this is. It's a ton of money. And also you got this happening. Let me remove that. What happened? Hundreds of alligator Alcatraz have no criminal charges, Miami Herald learns. This came out yesterday morning. Hundreds of immigrants with no criminal charges in these United States are being held at Alligator Alcatraz a detention facility state and federal officials have characterized as a place where vicious and deranged psychopaths are sent before they get deported. Records obtained by the Miami Herald Tampa Bay Times show. Mixed with these detainees accused and convicted of crimes are more than 250 people who are listed as having only immigration violations, but no criminal convictions or pending charges in these United States. The data is based on a list of more than 700 people who are being held under tents and in chain link cells at Florida's pop-up detention center in the Everglades or appear slated for a transfer there. A third of the detainees have criminal convictions. Their charges range from attempted murder to illegal reentry to traffic violations. Hundreds of others only have pending charges. The records do not disclose the nature of the alleged offenses, and reporters have not independently examined each individual's case, which goes back into due process always needed, because if you're a U.S. citizen and you just get picked up just because you look the right parts or wrong parts, it's not a good thing just to be sent to prison. You got to have more than just, hey, he looks like that guy. We got more on that one on different styles here soon. What is the next one? Here's from Quartz. Kids are turning to AI for friendship. Quote, I don't have anyone else to talk to. A new UK report reveals children are turning to chatbots for homework help, emotional advice, and sometimes because they have no one else. Move over TikTok. Kids have a new favorite digital confidant. This one answers in complete sentences. A new UK report, Me, Myself, and AI, reveals that a growing number of children are turning AI chatbots not just to cheat or study for exams, but for emotional support, fashion advice, and even companionship. The report, published Sunday by the nonprofit Internet Matters, surveyed 1,000 children and 2,000 parents across the United Kingdom and found that 64% of kids are using AI chatbots for everything from schoolwork to practice and tough conversations. Even more eyebrow-raising, over a third of these young users say talking to a chatbot feels like talking to a friend. That's just in a sense, that's grooming the kids for the 4IR, which is going down at record pace right now. I mean, you got the robots everywhere. You got the sex bots out in Japan that we talked about back in Clown Planet a year or two ago. Robots are all over the place. We'll get into the drone story here in a second. But again, you get virtual reality. You get these kids that are just turnkey kids come to a home where both parents are working. They go into a house by themselves. They have to have no one else but their phone or computer. Or they got the AI. You go to any place, most kids don't know how to talk to other kids. They can talk to an AI. Speaking of AI nudify websites are raking in millions of dollars. Millions of people are accessing harmful AI nudify websites. New analysis says the sites are making millions and rely on tech from U.S. companies. Speaking of drones, would this be my cue up the War Pig edition? Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches and black masses. Here's the New Yorker. Is the U.S. ready for the next war? With global conflicts increasingly shaped by drones and AI, the U.S. military risks losing its dominance. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because this came up the other day, where if you saw, I thought I had it up here. You had Pete Hegseth talking about drone dominance, and most of the commentators were going like, "Hey, this is why you shouldn't have a Fox telecast guy running the Pentagon. I'm sorry, Freudian slip, or was it? Anyway, here's Orwell's Huxley bringing us up. Let's expound on this topic, shall we? U.S. Secretary of Defense announced a plan for drone dominance. Meanwhile, over every Chinese city has drone shows like this. Again, this goes into the 4IR. And Hegseth did this Friday or Saturday. Here's back in May, a news report that flown under most people's radar.
Designed to foil would-be mass shooters. At the suburban Oak Brook Police Department, much like other agencies, drones are deployed and directed by humans.
We deploy them quite often.
Just last month, the department was called to help state police track down a person fleeing a vehicle wanted in connection with a shooting. The drone's thermal imaging technology helps spot and pinpoint that person fleeing. Now the department is going to the next level with a drone as a first responder.
It's not operated by someone traditionally holding a joystick. It's able to deploy itself.
The drone, made by Flock Safety, uses AI technology that's tied into the command center and deploys on its own from a roof to specific 911 calls.
Getting eyes on the ground prior to officers' arrival, that's going to be huge.
In North Suburban Libertyville, several former Navy SEALs and a business entrepreneur are working on the next aerial technological evolution.
Now it's locked on to Nate. As Nate presents, it strikes at Nate, so that's the show of force that we're talking about.
You're watching an indoor drone designed to detect and potentially stop a mass shooting on its own before police even have a chance to respond.
The drone is looking for a threat who's carrying a weapon.
Members of Breakcourt Solutions demonstrating their close-quarter drone for the I-Team. Equipping drones with firearms is illegal in the United States, so the concept with this system is designed to track the threat and then neutralize
It's illegal so far.
the weapon instead of the shooter.
Once the threat is detected, now it could begin tracking, begin following that individual, providing real-time information to first responders.
The inventors don't want to reveal trade secrets, only explaining that the drone can also lock in on a weapon and then strike the side of it, dispensing an adhesive substance that essentially jams the firearm's inner workings.
So the internal.
Now here's the Pete Hegseth video.
We know
This is from Saturday, I think it was.
why we were put here. We were brought here to rebuild the military, match capabilities to the threats of today. So while our adversaries have produced millions of cheap drones, before us, we were mired in bureaucratic red tape. Not anymore. In June, President Trump issued an executive order unleashing American drone dominance to bolster our drone industry and arm our warfighters, because that's what we're all about. So today, I'm rescinding restrictive policies that stifle production, and this will unleash American manufacturing and the ingenuity of our warfighters by doing three key things. First, we're going to bolster the U.S. drone manufacturing base by producing thousands of American-made products, prioritizing Buy American. We'll arm combat units with a variety of low-cost, American-crafted drones, leveraging our world-leading engineers and AI experts. And third, we're going to train as we expect to fight. Senior officers, well, I'll grab this because it's the memo. Senior officers must overcome bureaucratic risk aversion in budgeting, weaponeering, and training. So here's the memo we're signing today, delivered via drones.
Oh, yeah.
Here on the front lawn of the Pentagon.
That's about the damn one. Sorry to have that keep going. Let me get back to the links. All right, here's this company, Breakcourt Solutions, brought police into a new level. High threat responses. I think they were in the news. That video right there. We combine computer vision, autonomous flight, and next generation AI tech to detect and engage firearm threats and active shooter situations. Okay, it sounds fine. You don't want that to happen, but here's along with Breakcourt, the Flock Safety has also entered the arena. Joined with Flock cameras, these drones are deployed only with the use of AI. There's the ABC Chicago talks about this. The experimental drones developed to neutralize mass shooters and disable weapons. Says here in Florida and other agencies more than willing to help bring this to fruition with drones of their own. Israeli drone company opens new U.S. headquarters in Tampa. It's from Fox 13 News. In conclusion, when it was stated it would be more than guns to revolt, and with the new draft proposal for more drones, who do you suppose these drones that the DOD are requesting really for? We're talking about these things will just, like this drone right here will pop out of the wall or come out of the lights or something and just plop right down. It's going to a dystopian place. And I remember a guy talking to him when I was doing Uber for 4 years back in Denver. He was talking about drones that would scare what out of you. So here's that. So here's drones are now bullets. How a new Pentagon policy may accelerate robot warfare. New policy also allows more units to buy drones, which should boost the demand signal to the industry. And this is not the Onion. Israel wants to build the most moral concentration camp in the world. When I say death camps, I meant happy camps. The Gaza war has no military objectives other than unacceptable ones: a second Nakba or a voluntary transfer of all Palestinians. Yes, the humanitarian involving the construction of a humanitarian city on the ruins of Rafah, which would incarcerate all the enclaves residents, is a moral historic nadar for the state of Israel and the Jewish people. Notice, again, I always like bringing this up. Notice the word state of Israel. Again, state is synonymous with the word country. So you hear the state of Italy, the state of France, the European Union states, the state of Israel. We forget that here because the nationalism the 19th century nationalism has done its work greatly in the wrong way. But I just like bringing that up for people to think of state equals country. And remember, when people say, we'd like to be a Christian country again, the state of Georgia in 1861 declared itself a Christian nation. It used the words Christian nation. That's Georgia where Atlanta is. So it can happen. We got to get out of this centralization, 19th century nationalism idea that came to fruition after Lincoln. Trump waves his most powerful weapon ever built when talking about Putin. Quote, I just hope we don't have to use it. Here he is. He's talking about the Ukraine weapons.
Well, I'm going to have a meeting with the Secretary General who's coming in tomorrow. But we basically are going to send them various pieces of very sophisticated military, and they're going to pay us 100% for them. And that's the way we want it. And we've been trying to get that again.
So again, what happened was it yesterday, the day before, yesterday, he floated the idea of giving more, and they did float, said he was going to use his presidential authority to send weapons to Ukraine, which he promised wouldn't happen. From the AP, Trump threatens Russia with tariffs and boosts U.S. weapons for Ukraine. Here's the Express U.S. WW3 tension spike as Vladimir Putin, quote, giving detailed thought to using nukes in Ukraine. And we get the antiwar.com, which is a great source. If you've never been to it, check it out. Israeli attacks in Gaza kill 117 Palestinians over 24 hours. And this was today. An Israeli airstrike on tents in Khan Yunis killed 9, mostly children, and at least 5 more aid seekers were killed. Pentagon, I keep wanting to say Pentagon, because I jokingly say it off here all the time. Pentagon admits Iranian missile hit dome used for communications at U.S. Qatar base. Yeah, Iranian missile hit dome used for communications. So it hit the dome, and whatever. The U.S. launches its 49th airstrike of the year in Somalia. The president of peace has been bombing Somalia most of his term. U.S. Africa Command said it targeted ISIS affiliate in Puntland. In religion news, in Palestine, of course, Cardinal Pizzaballa stood with the other patriarchs of the churches in the town of Tibet. Today, they condemned the repeated attacks against Christians by Israelis, saying in a statement, quote, radical Israelis from nearby settlements intentionally set fire near the town cemetery and the Church of St. George, which dates back to the 5th century. Tibet, forgive me if I don't pronounce them incorrectly, is the last remaining all-Christian town in the West Bank. These actions are a direct and intentional threat to our local community first and foremost, but also to the historic religious heritage of our ancestors and holy sites. In the face of such threats, the greatest act of bravery is to continue to call this your home. They also stated, we ask for prayers, attention, and action of the world, particularly that of the Christians globally, and, quote, this is clearly part of the systemic attack against Christians that we are unfolding throughout the region. They've been bombing churches all over the place, and most nobody on our side has been bringing this up. Again, one of the one of the things you can't say in this administration is anything against most favored nation. It is according to the World Economic Forum's Nita Farahana, brain sensors embedded in headphones and other devices will soon be keeping tabs on your brain activity. Now, if you remember her, I brought her up in my shows on Planet and content on the World Economic Forum and Great Reset in general. Why? Because she was on the main video. I'll go and pull the video down for you. Let me go ahead and just do that. Sorry, he's watching. I'm not gonna hit pause and start back up again or whatever. Just that's how we do it, folks. It's very Here we go. Sorry about that.
Devices. So these are brain sensors that are starting to be embedded in everyday devices, but until now have been a number of niche companies that really have focused on mindfulness and meditation. The use of, for example, brain sensors that can pick up electrical activity in the brain at a pretty low resolution, but advances in AI have both improved what the signal is that can come from the brain and enabled the miniaturization of those products. As a lot of the major tech companies start to invest in these brain sensors, it's a huge, I think, untapped market in many ways of integrating them into everyday devices. These are earbuds or watches or headphones and the soft cups around the ears. Many of those products are hitting the market this year, and others are hitting them within the next 2 years, such that people can listen to music, a phone call, etc., while having those devices in ears. Initially, what they will be capable of doing is very high-level brain state reading. Things like, are you tired? Are you paying attention? Is your mind wandering? Are you happy or sad? They maybe enable interaction like up, down, left, right for interaction with other technologies. And they're being embedded into things like virtual reality headsets.
So they've been talking about this for a while. If you remember seeing this video that I played long ago when they was talking about being able to hear the brain, see your brainstem, or they can know what you're thinking. If you're thinking daydreaming of someone else in the room, all that stuff. They've been talking about this for a while now. She's been at the forefront of it. Netherlands, they're rationing electricity to ease power. The grid stresses. They've been talking about this for years too. I remember Germany during the cold days saying that they were going to cut off people's heat and they were going to make these little sections for them to get warmed up. So same thing, Netherlands rations electricity. Now, here in the South, we've gotten texts and stuff from Duke Power and say, yeah, we're going to, please don't use too much power during these times because the grid's being affected and all that. It's just an excuse. Never have a smart meter. If you have a smart meter, try to get out of it. In the news of the weird, this is not the Babylonian Bee. Texas City requires Israeli pledge for hurricane relief. So, I know this back in 2017, but it just shows you just something new. I was trying to find something weird, and yeah, City of Dixon, about 30 miles south of Houston, posted grant applications for anyone seeking money for repairs after a Cat 4 storm. Local officials say pro-Israel clause is required under a Texas state law enacted earlier that year. So again, if you're in Texas, you still have that on your books. This in sports, it's All-Star Weekend in baseball, and here's what happened. Here's one of the questions that were asked Pat McAfee.
Law on the books here in Atlanta that is a voter suppression law that Joe Biden has called Jim Crow of the 21st century. Dave, in 2021, in the MLB Network special, you said it's about being relentless with our voices and speaking up, and this is not an isolated moment, and it needs to be something talked about on an ongoing basis. And being relentless with it. What happened to being relentless with our voices, and why are we in Atlanta when this law is still on the books? And it is a dangerous situation to be a journalist in Atlanta because Atlanta has detained the most journalists by ICE.
I believe the question was a political question about laws that are on the books and everything like that. And the All-Star game was taken out, now it's brought back. Interesting. I don't know if any of us are the experts or the ones that should be giving answers on that, but respect and appreciate the way you feel about it, and I would assume that there was a reason or some conversation that was had by the MLB and the state that all parties thought that this would be a wonderful host city for the All-Star Game, and I think everybody is all very excited to be back in the beautiful city of Atlanta. I think. I don't want to speak out of pocket for anybody, but I do believe with everything else you're talking about, I don't know if Dave is a lobbyist or Paul is a lobbyist or...
So I thought it was a great response. He was, they were trying to get him on that, and he goes, "I'm just here to play ball, talk about ball, really." In weather, there's a hurricane maybe developing in the Gulf of Mexico. If you want to say Gulf of America, I'm going to say Gulf of Dixie or Gulf of. Nobody's been arrested yet. Anyway, they're possibly a hurricane in the next day or two outside Florida. In kind of a good news thing, terrorists bring the U.S. only native caffeinated plant a shot at stardom. This is the Youpon Holly plant. If you don't know what that is, Youpon Holly is a native in the Carolinas, Southeast in general. I think you can even have it up in Northeast. But let's see, we call it Carolina tea and Christmas berry. East Texas, Carolina, East Texas, mostly southeastern, but you can get it on Amazon and grow it in your backyard too, probably. And it's it's just like drinking coffee. You can make a coffee out of that. So in one way, it's bringing light to natural stuff, or you can just get a coffee plant and grow in your backyard. You might need a greenhouse if you live not in Florida or deep Texas or Arizona. So that's another option. Anyway, grow your own food anyway. It's a good idea. Anyway, so yes, sorry, I missed my objective already. It's stopping at 10, 15 minutes, and I have a 26-minute mark. So my apologies. Thank you for listening. God bless, and subscribe, all that jazz. Click the bell, notifications, because we are getting shadow banned. So make sure you get the subscribe thing, get the alerts, all that jazz, and beat the algorithms, comment, all that stuff. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day. By the way, the show notes for this will be underneath in the description file. Have a great day. God bless.